Hi everyone, Mr. Peabody here. I'm going to have to address some of this stuff because at the moment Australians getting bagged. I don't I don't see that as a bad thing really. Do our politicians, like your politicians, do the right thing every time? No. But how about you talk to an Australian before you go jump on the bandwagon and criticise us? Um, I know the videos you're getting are really bad, but I tell you what, some of your videos are pretty bad too. Let's start with what people said in the comments. This is a comment that I hear all the time. Australia was a penal colony, and we sent criminals over there. So you think we're all criminals? In actual fact, the amount of criminals that were sent to Australia is actually a small amount. Most of them were colonists. All right, so yes, they did send criminals over here, but they actually sent criminals over here to help the colonists set up. So, but they keep on throwing that argument out there. It's like you're missing the point, right? Because I'm pretty sure that every other country, you didn't exactly end up with the cream of the crop when you first sent people there. So that's what I've got to say about that. As far as the restrictions that go on in Australia, do I agree with them all? Absolutely not. But how much freedom do I actually have at the moment? I'm pretty much free to wander wherever I like within my state. Can I leave the state? If I have a good reason to, yes. But apart from that, pretty much not. Can I fly international? If I really wanted to, I could. But once again, you've got to wonder where you're going to end up. So, but to put another point on that, I live in Western Australia. At the moment, we have no COVID, none whatsoever. The only COVID we've got is sitting on cargo ships off our coastline. That's the only COVID we've got here. The only COVID we have in Western Australia is imported. And this is an important fact to bring up. You know, way back when, March last year, when they said, oh, well, give us 2 weeks to flatten the curve. What did our Australian government, what did our state governments do to prepare for that? I can tell you they did absolutely nothing. They did nothing. Their idea was shut the door, keep it out, and don't let it in. They did absolutely nothing. And even the vaccine rollout. I mean, I don't even agree with the vaccine rollout because let's face it. They keep on saying, "Oh, you have to be vaccinated," or blah 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 blah. It's like the vaccine doesn't stop you from catching COVID, and it doesn't stop you from spreading COVID. And the numbers I get, the last numbers I got was ICU in America. 40% of the people in ICU with COVID-19 are all vaccinated. So don't give me numbers about vaccines. You can just go that right up your ass. And don't tell me about masks. Masks are the biggest joke of all. And you've got to wear a mask. You've got to wear a mask properly, and it's got to be a proper mask. So unless you actually go around and hand out the right mask to every single citizen, show them how to prepare and use that mask, fuck off with your mask mandate. Don't just say wear something over your face because you're supposed to. Why don't you provide them with the mask that you think that you deem is proper, and then explain to them how to use the mask, because people don't know how to use a mask. They just don't. And it infuriates me. But at the moment, yeah, Australia's getting a bit of a tongue lashing because of some of the stuff that they brought up. And one of the most bizarre things was they shot dogs because they didn't want people from another state coming in to rescue the dogs. What the fuck is that? A friend of mine in America sent me that message. I didn't get that until days later. It didn't show up here until days later. A friend of mine in America sent me the article where they shot dogs because they didn't want people from another state coming in and picking them up. Anyway, is our government doing the right thing? No, not really. But like any government around the world, they're working with something that we haven't had to work with before. They're all confused. They're not reading. They're not understanding what they're talking about. The guy in the elevator that was sneezing, I don't give a fuck about the guy in the elevator sneezing. The fact is, most of the time, I sneeze and cough. It's got nothing to do with COVID. It's got nothing to do with allergies. I have like cyclic vomiting. I've got a problem with my vagus nerve. My vagus nerve causes me to cough and splutter and sneeze all the time. Nothing I can do about it, but it's not infectious. And I've said to many people, even if I caught COVID, I honestly wouldn't notice the difference between the COVID and the cyclic vomiting. I wouldn't know the difference. Because if I went through the list of symptoms for cyclic vomiting, they match COVID. All of them. So, but it blows my mind as much as anyone else. But don't bag Australia. It's not Australian people doing this. It's our government officials, and they're getting bad information. And most of the bad information they're getting from overseas. They're following your lead, what you did in the start. So if you want to know what's going on in Australia, talk to a fucking Australian. And if you want to talk about, gun control and shit like that, talk to an Australian. You know when we had to give up all our guns? We didn't give up all our guns. What it was is there was a mass shooting in Tasmania, Port Arthur, and they offered to buy back rifles and guns. It was a buyback scheme to take the guns out. But what you don't understand is most of those guns were unregistered guns. Unregistered. They were illegal guns. And I know it's a bit bizarre saying that, but because all the illegal guns end up with criminals. But there was a big buyback and there was an amnesty against illegal guns, and people handed in their guns. But I can tell you, it's like, are we completely unarmed? Of course we're not. The people that are allowed to have the guns, they're in the most harshest areas that you can possibly get in Australia. The kind of area that you'd have to cross if you wanted to conquer Australia, those people are the heaviest armed. And they've got the big shit. They don't have the small rifles, they've got the big shit. So it's like, talk to a fucking Australian. Don't just listen to all this crap on the news. Just talk to an Australian.